if my mother was playing third base for the Yankees and I was the GM, I was going to trade for Alex Rodriguez too.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Bronx Backstories. I'm Sweeny Murti, and some of you may remember a period in Yankees history that had Aaron Boone as a Yankees third baseman, followed by Alex Rodriguez as Yankees third baseman. In between is a little era we like to call the Mike Lamb era. And joining us right now is a guy who spent 7 glorious weeks as a New York Yankee in February and March of 2004, Mike Lamb. Mike, do you remember that time as fondly as the rest of us do?
Probably more so. Being a part of the Yankee organization, walking in the clubhouse and seeing all those great players. It was a little overwhelming to walk into that clubhouse. But, you know, I felt welcomed and the guys were great. But yeah, it was 7 glorious weeks. I would agree with you.
In January of 2004, Aaron Boone wrecks his knee playing a pickup basketball game. The Yankees are all of a sudden a few weeks away from spring training, and they need a third baseman. And on February 5th, you get traded from the Texas Rangers, where you were playing with Alex Rodriguez. Now you get to go and have a chance to win a job as a third baseman with the New York Yankees. The day the trade's made, February 5th, what are you thinking?
Wow. So my situation with Texas was I was out of options. My fear going into spring training was that I was going to get taken off the roster like the last week. So I think that was a concern of mine going into that spring training. And then when I found out I got traded to the Yankees, it was just like a complete reversal of like, I'm happy that I'm out of the situation that I was fearing and into a situation like, I can't believe I'm going to the Yankees and going to compete to be the third baseman for the club. So it was, a spectrum of emotions from just nervous about the situation to excited about the new situation. Mr. Steinbrenner was going to do everything he could to make that team as good as it could be so that it's World Series or bust. So to walk into that, to get traded and potentially be a part of that was really exciting. So I was pretty fired up.
You go from this and all this pressure and thinking, okay, I'm going to get a chance to play third base for the New York Yankees. 11 days later, the Yankees traded for Alex Rodriguez. What do you remember thinking when you heard that was happening?
Well, I don't blame them. If my mother was playing third base for the Yankees and I was the GM, I was going to trade for Alex Rodriguez too. So there is no hard feelings about that whatsoever. Alex Rodriguez is like 1,000 times the baseball player that I ever was. My glory run was 11 days, I guess. But, how could you blame the Yankees for making that trade? I mean, there was no bitterness. I'm like, baseball has a way of working itself out. So, it's got to be patient and go through spring training and see what happens on the other side.
Now, even though you'd spent 4 years with the Texas Rangers, Mike Lamb, who would have been a pretty good response from most Yankees fans, but probably not from people in the clubhouse who are, I think they pretty much take pride in knowing the game and knowing the people around the game. Paint the scene for me as you walk into the Yankees clubhouse with a Texas Rangers equipment bag slung over your shoulder, because that's carrying all your stuff from the year before. And a guy you run into is a wonderful Yankees coach for a long time, and he's now with the Phillies. Rob Thompson meets you at the door, sees you with a Texas Rangers bag over your shoulder, and I'll let you tell the rest of this story.
It's pretty classic. And I love telling it too. I arrive at spring training, like I'm nervous. I don't know really where to go. I don't know how to get into the stadium. I don't really know anybody. So I got my bag over my shoulder and I'm walking in and just so happens that like A-Rod was doing a press conference or something. And he ends up being like right behind me as we walk into the clubhouse. And so I walk in and I think there was a clubby like standing there at the door as well. And so I walk in, A-Rod's behind me, there's a clubby standing there, and Robbie sees me with a bag over my shoulder, and in the bags they have a little slot where you put the player's number. So coming off the plane or whatever, the clubbies know which locker this bag goes to. And my number in Texas was 13. So he sees a 3. He sees me with a Texas bag on, the number 3, and then A-Rod behind me, and he says, A-Rod's locker is back in the corner. And I looked at him like, what? And the clubby goes, no, this is Mike Lamb. And you should have seen the look on his face, right? Just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But I loved it, you know, like I didn't get recognized as being a player. But it's such a good baseball story that I don't mind being the butt of the joke, right? It's just classic. I love telling that story.
You got into a World Series and hit a home run in that World Series before Alex Rodriguez did. So is that a little, sweet payback? Huh? I gotcha.
I would take his statistics and bank account over my World Series home run. No, I have no. I mean, it's a fun conversation, but I have no. I enjoyed A-Rod as a teammate. I really did. He's a heck of a player, and he's really smart out there on the field, and his anticipation of stuff that was going to happen was off the charts. I couldn't believe it, to the point where he told me one time, I was playing third, he was playing short. He's like, hey, take a couple steps off the line right here on this pitch because they're going to hit and run. And they did. And I was like, how do you know that? It was so nobody even knows the trivia question of who hit the first home run in Astros World Series history. No one can even get that right. So to ask them who hit a home run in the World Series first between Mike Lamb and Alex Rodriguez, they're not getting that right either. But for it to be me is kind of cool, but I'm the only one that knows. So it's kind of.
We all know now. Take a little slide over this way so we can all see it. Let's see that World Series home run right there. There it is.
Yeah, right there.
Beautiful,
underneath my
right
jersey
there against the White Sox in 2005. Now we all know the answer to that question.
Nice.
Well, listen, I think if I proved anything else is that somebody out there does remember that you spent a good long time in the big leagues, including 7 glorious weeks in the spring of 2004 as a New York Yankee. And I think everybody should remember that that's something that everybody wishes they could do at some point in their life, and you got to live it out. That's Mike Lamb. I'm Sweeny Murti. Thanks for watching Bronx Backstories.